Hey everyone, so you might be thinking, Bethany, didn't there used to be a greenhouse behind you? And yes there did. Unfortunately, now it is in pieces inside, or at least I think we have the majority of the pieces. Basically what happened is we got some really strong winds. I think it set up to 50 miles per hour, and since we're on a third floor deck, the winds up here are even stronger than they would be down on the ground. And because we don't have soil to tether the greenhouse down, it was just weighed down with some pots, and then the strings were in potted plants, which apparently was not strong enough to keep it together. And actually I have a couple of friends who have greenhouses that were similar, the plastic and the metal bars that were on the ground, and some of theirs got damaged as well. So I don't know if it would have made it if it was down on the ground or if the winds were just too strong anyway, but essentially there is no longer a greenhouse up here, and I didn't get to witness what happened. I slept the entire night. I didn't even know there was such a bad windstorm. It was my husband who, when I woke up, told me the greenhouse was now inside, and basically what he said was around 5 a.m. he heard something that sounded like thunder, so something that was a bit different than just the noise of the wind itself. He came outside and the greenhouse was basically bouncing around slowly like a sail, and he said he wanted to grab a picture for me, but he thought if he took any extra time it was about to blow off the roof. So he was lucky and able to come outside and grab it, bring it inside, and then I took the pieces apart when I sadly discovered that a lot of it was just broken. So originally I thought, maybe I can bring it back outside, I can re-tether it down, try to do it a little bit more secure, but it's just too broken. There's no way that I can repair it. So for example, this pole is actually supposed to be straight. And then a lot of these plastic connectors here are just completely broken, so there's no way to hold the bars together. What I think I'm going to do is try to repurpose some of the items. So there are some shelves that I think I might use as places for plants to climb up in the garden. I'll just see kind of what I can work with. But what I want to do now is kind of take you and show you what's left of the greenhouse, because there is still part of it left. And then what my new plan is for overwintering my containers. I'm not going to attempt another greenhouse, because even though this one did stand up to some pretty strong winds, and I think the 50 mile per hour isn't something that's going to be a common occurrence, but who knows. I don't want to put the money and the effort into buying a new one, setting it up, only for the same exact thing to happen again a couple weeks later. It was pretty unfortunate though, because I thought it was going to work. I think maybe I had it up for a month, a little bit longer than that. The plants really seemed to like it that were inside. It was keeping it a little bit warmer, and I think it would have been a good solution for overwintering my plants. I just think up here in the Windy City on a rooftop deck, we need something a little bit stronger and more secure, probably something that would be like a permanent type of build, which I don't even think if that is possible to put something like that on a rooftop deck. But anyway, let me take you up close now and show you what is left of the greenhouse on the deck. So I have not touched anything up here. This just happened yesterday, and I wanted to leave everything where it was in order to show you guys kind of what happened. So here is the base of the greenhouse, and using the pots to hold it down worked. I mean, the base of the greenhouse is still intact. What didn't work is the wind was so strong that the plastic covering, like I said, kind of acted as a sail, and it just ripped apart the poles from these plastic dividers. This was how the plastic part was secured to the poles, and you can see it even just ripped it right off the plastic. So I don't even think, had I secured it a little bit more heavily, I think the poles itself are just not strong enough to withstand it being ripped apart in the wind. So I'm gonna have to remove the base of this and bring that inside. And then here, so everything from here over was inside of the greenhouse. I think I'm probably going to keep them in relatively similar positioning. The only thing I might change is, I know some of these bags I think are completely empty. They were just weighing down the greenhouse. And this side here in the corner is where the plants are going to have the most protection and have the most warmth in the winter. So if these are empty, these don't need to be in the warmest spot. I need to move my more tender plants into that corner, and then I will just use any of these empty pots as insulation around the other pots. I also have some burlap sacks I might bring out as well. So we are now on to plan B of my attempt to overwinter the garden. So like I said, I'm going to remove the base first and then rearrange these pots, cross my fingers, and hope they survive till spring. So let's go ahead and get started. So quick note to self, don't take apart a greenhouse in the clothes you're planning to wear out tonight. There was some like rust colored water that was dripping out of the poles, so hopefully I've gotten those out. The poles themselves are all over there now, so I'm going to bring those inside. Every part of the greenhouse base has been removed from here, so I'm going to shift the plants over into that corner. And then down here, all of these grow bags are empty, so this is going to be insulation around the outside of the bags, and I might also move over some of those pots that I was just leaving there for the winter as well. Here we are now, all the plants have been moved over to the corner, and I started back here with whatever was the smallest containers because they'll retain heat the least, and whatever containers were a bit thinner. These have bulbs in them. This is my grape plant, and I have, ooh, there's some more wind, hydrangeas, rose bush, and then just a bunch of other stuff here. Like I said, all of these are empty, so these are just extra insulation. I'm going to hold on the burlap sacks because I'm thinking, like for example, if I use a sack to cover the branches of this, I think that if it snows, that might put extra weight and break some of the branches. It actually looks like some were already broken, probably from the greenhouse flying off of it. So I don't want to do any more damage right now. I'll kind of follow along over the winter, see how they do, and decide if I need to add any burlap sacks. But I think for now, this is what I'm going to stick with. I also put a grow bag here on the wrong size table cover to hopefully keep that on as well. So here's what it looks like now. It's definitely taking up less space. Not that I'm out here much anyway in December, although it is really nice and I don't even have a coat on. And I think we're supposed to get up to 60s, but that's not important. So here we are right now. This is plan B of my overwintering containers. And there is one positive, at least I can think of, for this. So when the plants were in the greenhouse, obviously if it snowed or we got any moisture, they weren't going to get the moisture, and I would 100% have to come out and water them by hand with a watering can. Now that there's no longer a greenhouse, all of the plants are exposed to the elements, so they can get some moisture, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I won't have to come out here and water anything, that they'll just get all the moisture they need over the winter from Mother Nature. Last year I didn't have to water anything, so fingers crossed that's how it goes this year as well. So yeah, there is always a bright side when something goes wrong. Obviously I wish I had the greenhouse all winter just so I could spend a winter with it and really see how it does, but unfortunately I won't get to try that out. The rest of the garden, pretty much everything was fine. We do have walls that are about 4 feet around, and I think that protected the majority of the garden. If I had plants growing taller than the wall, I don't think they would have survived. So that is everything I think for this video. Thank you so much for following along with me today. Hopefully nothing else changes with my overwintering plan, but if it does, I will update you and let you know. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. I actually forgot, I did want to show kind of what we're working with inside now. So all of the poles are here. Let me know if there's anything you can think of that I could use these for in the garden. I have the greenhouse cover itself over here, which I can definitely use just to cover things outside that I might need to. And then underneath the table, these are the shelves, and I have a good amount of them, but I think if I put them vertically into the back of a raised bed, then I can grow something pretty up it. So I'm hoping I can reuse as much of the greenhouse.